ended without a deal after Iranian officials refused to accept the American terms. This is what JD Vance said.
We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America.
Goldie, so look, the ceasefire is obviously fragile as it is. There's a blockade happening, as we've just discussed. No deal was able to be reached on nuclear. How do you see it playing out now?
The way I see it playing it out is President Trump is going to finish the job, and that's exactly what we Iranians want. I mean, I had a feeling that these so-called negotiations, it was basically just a front for President Trump to do whatever he needs to do behind the scenes. Ultimately, President Trump gave the Islamic regime one final chance to come to a deal. And let me be very clear about something. The deal that President Trump wants, he has been very open and clear about that. His deal has always been unconditional surrender, or we eradicate you. So basically, he gave the Islamic regime one final opportunity for unconditional surrender. The Islamic regime said no. They still, think that they have the right to nuclear and uranium enrichment, which they absolutely don't, because Iran signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty before 1979, before the Islamic regime came into power. So they have no right to do that anyway. But basically what's happening right now is President Trump is just showing the world that you cannot negotiate with terrorists. And this is exactly what we Iranians who have been held hostage by them have been saying. So we're very grateful for this. And I have a feeling President Trump is going to move forward and he's going to eradicate the Islamic regime and get rid of this cancer that has been infesting not just Iran, but the rest of the world once and for all.
And look, that's what we, hope and pray for, and we hope for a better life for Iran, absolutely. Donald Trump actually did speak. He following those failed peace talks, I thought it was interesting what he said. Let's have a listen.
Regardless, we win. Regardless what happens, we win. We've totally defeated that country. And so let's see what happens. Maybe they make a deal, maybe they don't.
Goldie, what's your take on that? Does America still win, even if Iran does not come to the table on this?
Oh, absolutely. Of course, America has already won regardless. I mean, the Islamic regime is collapsing. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take. I mean, ultimately, we're dealing with this brutal 7th century, weird Shia Islamic death cult that glorifies martyrdom. So there are a lot of radicals still, alive, controlling the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And for them, they believe that, their purpose is to bring about the end of the, end times and Armageddon or, whatever. So they're never going to surrender. And I think President Trump has essentially shown the rest of the world how brutal and savage these people are. You cannot negotiate them. You cannot rationalize with them. But, all their leaders are dead. The current supreme dictator, Mojtaba Khamenei, we don't even know if he's alive or not. No one has seen him or heard from him. All their leaders are dead. The Navy is gone. The Air Force is gone. They have no air defense system left. So basically what we're seeing is the last dying breaths of a collapsing dictatorship. And President Trump is absolutely right. Whether or not they come to a deal or not, America has already won.
Well, I just want to ask you about that. You mentioned Mojtaba Khamenei. There are reports that he's reportedly severely disfigured after sustaining leg and face injuries during the initial US-Israel airstrikes on Tehran back in February. I mean, we've seen statements that have apparently come from him, Goldie, but nobody's actually seen his face. Nobody has seen him in public since February. How much longer can the regime really keep up this facade that he's alive and doing so well?
Not much longer. I mean, Iranian people inside of occupied Iran already know the truth. Iranians outside already know the truth. But for some reason, there's this weird phenomena where you have these woke lefties, these Democrats, these communists, these jihadis, pretty much anyone who is anti-America and anti-Israel. They're going out there and pretending as if the Islamic regime is winning, which is the farthest thing from the truth. One thing that no one ever talks about is the fact that the previous supreme dictator, Khamenei, the father of the current one, who's disfigured or whatever, they still haven't had an official public burial for him. So they haven't even buried the first Khamenei, and that's because the Islamic regime is too afraid to hold a state funeral for the previous supreme dictator. So how is that winning when the Islamic regime is too afraid to even have a burial for the previous one?